Your wife's garden is amazing. Love those
Oh no.
hydrangeas.
Oh my God. Now we got that. And then you go over here and you got, I mean, this is just the front drive.
All
She's
right, we're
got,
live. Wait, Matt, we're live.
oh my goodness.
Away from the garden, back to
All right.
First Sip
All right.
Club.
Back to work. All right.
First Sip Club wrap up. That's what we're doing, right?
It's the first Sip Club wrap up. This is like Oprah. Like Oprah used to record the show, and then she'd have like after the show where she would like talk about what they talked about. I've always wanted to do one of these, so here we are.
Yeah, only we're not billionaires. Bummer.
No, for sure, not even close. But what a first week to do it after Dave Peterson from Play Bigger joined us both, and he's on the West Coast. He joined us both on the East Coast and the West Coast this morning, and I thought he was phenomenal. I mean, just
Maybe
the
we'll
note
give
taking
him
from
2
everyone.
mugs.
What's that?
We'll give him 2 mugs for joining so early.
He did say he'd had a gallon of coffee by the time we did the Pacific time zone version. But I know we both took a lot of notes. I know a lot of people got a lot out of it. What were some of your takeaways from his presentation today?
Yeah, well, first of all, I loved having him because we, on an ongoing basis, have been talking about this movement from chief marketing officer to chief market officer and what a critical concept category design. I like to take away some tactics, so I've got my 4 things. The first thing I loved was he talked about the rule of 10. And the first step for category design is defining your problem. And I think it's easy for us to spout off a paragraph around our problem statement, and the problem statement has to be 10 words or less. So that was a good little nugget. The second thing that I love that he said is it's not product market fit, which we often talk about, but he said it's problem category fit. So once you've defined your problem, step 2 is to test based on that problem. Are we in the right category? Does the category meet the needs to solve this problem? So that was step 2, and I thought a good nugget. I thought 3, and this is something I know I have done and I loved from the lightning strike guide, which I think we're going to post in the hub from Dave. But the notion of a category blueprint and really being able to show on one slide or one infographic what the category will be, so people know where you're taking them. So that was 3. I thought that was really beneficial. And 4, which I hadn't heard before, the analogy of a mall map, because I think one of the things that's important for a category is your ecosystem. A category has to have an ecosystem. And so he said to think about it as a mall. And if you think about the mall map, you tell people where you are, where they are, and then where all the other kind of supporting companies and the ecosystem looks like. So I thought that was a good nugget. So those are my 4 takeaways.
No, that's good. I mean, the one thing that keeps rattling in my brain is we talked a lot about when it's time to create a category. Like you have to wait till a certain target account or sort of, the addressable market exists. But I think he made some good points about saying, like, is there a problem that needs to be solved? Is there a new problem that needs to be solved? And if there is, then you might have the basis for doing something that can create a new category. We also talked a lot about protecting your category and whether or not that's a good idea. Like, do you trademark it? Do you keep other people from using it? And I really liked, he said, like, the category is not yours to own, it is yours to build. And I think that you look at the companies that are okay with other people being part of that category, or okay with other companies adopting it as their own. It provides a level of credibility and validity to the category. And I think you as an organization then need to be comfortable with continuing to lead and build it, even if you created it from scratch. And we saw a lot of great examples of companies, not only working with the analysts, obviously, and getting new Magic Quadrants and new categories built there, but also writing books, publishing manifestos, really documenting their perspective on why the category exists. And so I think that concept of not just defining it for the right reasons, but creating and building and nurturing a community and a movement behind it is really important as well. I'm excited to get the lightning strike materials up onto the hub to share some other examples. Like we've already had some people that took notes that have shared those and said, "Can you put these in the hub? Put them in the Slack channel. Let other people have access to this." And Dave, I mean, to his credit, like he's like, "Listen, like I'm an open book. Anyone has a question." What did he call it? Like, a movement therapy, where he's like, people have read the book and want to share. Like he's so open to sharing other ideas and next steps. So I know he's going to do some recap materials himself on the hub. But boy, what a great morning. And that 4:20 wake up call for me, Latney, is always it's always a bit of it's something. But this morning it was well worth it.
It was a fiery one. So now I feel like we had a lot of other topics brewing. So I know this morning analyst relations and analysts came up, so we should put that in the topic mix. Alex, a few weeks ago, talked about influencer marketing, which I think is also somewhat part of a lightning strike or whatever. So that could be a good topic to see if people want to cover, if we can find a great expert to come and join us.
Yep.
And then one that I had sent out before is pricing and packaging.
Yeah.
Another, I think, pretty critical part of this being a chief market officer. Any ones you want to throw in the mix?
Well, I agree with all of those. I think the pricing and packaging, you include in that a lot of people trying freemium offerings. I could argue that freemium might even be sort of a separate, that could be like a 2-part series talking about how people are doing that. Pivots in terms of go-to-market strategy and what that means in terms of category, what that means in terms of how you're pricing and packaging. I've heard some great examples from CMOs talking about how they have been smart about how they've changed packaging and pricing without necessarily changing the product. So saying, we've got product on the truck, but how do we help that leverage and lean into a different industry or a different category that needs it right now? The other category that I've had a couple people mention is, and I think we'll get back to this, is going back to racial equality and Black Lives Matter. I mean, now that we've been in this movement, this new necessary movement for a while, we're past the initial stages of day-to-day, what do we do? A lot of people are like, what do we do to sustain this? Like, how do we make sure this continues to be part of our narrative and continues to be a priority? How do we do that inside our organization to empower and encourage our people, as well as what do we do on behalf of our company and brand in the outside world and in our communities? And I think that's something that I think, can be a continued narrative as we all continue to figure out how we can, what we, to continue to educate and to figure out like how we can have a better impact. So like we have, and that's just a handful. I mean, that'll get us at least through Labor Day, and then, we'll have other topics come up. But yeah, there's, I don't know about you, like the community that's built around these breakfasts, and we've got over 500 people registered. We had record numbers in the middle of summer when people were on vacations, record numbers in both calls today, and just the engagement on the chat. It's like 2 events at once. You got Dave answering questions, and you got people answering each other's questions and sharing in the chat. For any CMOs and VPs that are watching this video, email Latney or I, get an invite, make sure you take advantage of this community. It's topic driven, it's community driven. It's been the right time and place, and just been a lot of fun.
All right. So that is our wrap up and preview into what's next. We'll see you next Friday.